for those inspiring words. Let's give him a hand. The director of Rocking in North Little Rock, Arkansas. What he does is he develops young minds today so that they don't make the same mistakes he made years ago. And I invite you to go visit Rockin' in North Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to see you, and the food is awesome. So thank you, Mr. LaFell Jackson. Also to Mr. Stephen Jones, thank you for your words. I also want to take a moment. I know they were introduced previously, but let me allow our special guest one more time to stand and be acknowledged. Please stand, our special guest. Thank you. We're going to thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you to all of the organizations that helped today possible. The Encouragement Foundation for providing the sound system, for providing some of the funding for programming and for the flyers. And thank you to the Episcopal Collegiate High School. And a special thank you to Mr. Steve Holcomb and Ms. Ricky Smith from Megan Holcomb Partners, the media public relations firm that helped us put this together and allowed us to get the media to help us get the word out. I thank you. Let's give them a hand. And also to the Enough is Enough staff and volunteers, thank you for your support. This small step we took today of coming is a giant leap for the fight against violence and bullying. As a 17-year-old, sometimes it's been hard to get your voice heard. Since I've started on this journey, many people have said that this happens over there and not in my community. Little do they know that it's not your community and it's not my community, but it's our community. However, I remember the words from the famous poet Edgar Albert Guest, "It couldn't be done." Somebody said it couldn't be done, but with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would but one. We wouldn't say so till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he word, he hit it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one has done it." But he took off his coat and took off his hat, and the first thing he knew, he'd begun it. We lit a chin and a bit of a grin without any doubting or quitting. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out of you one by one the dangers that will wait to your cell. But just buckle it in with a hint of a grin and just take off your coat and go to it. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that couldn't be done, and you'll do it. The inspiration for Enough is Enough came from Mr. Steve Dvorak and Mr. LaFell Jackson's speech at Boys State, sponsored by the American Legion of Arkansas. Here I was, among 653 young men, seated in a cold auditorium for what seemed to be another long day of assemblies. Then this man comes out with a PowerPoint presentation that changed my life. During one of the most violent periods in Little Rock, this man stood firm and stepped out of his box, stepped out of his comfort zone and his position to reach a generation and to save them from the death of a bullet. And to see this man, who was notorious for the life he lived, change and live his life now reaching children and trying to save their lives, motivated me to pursue my passion and put it into action. However, I returned from Arkansas Boys State and witnessed, like Mr. LaFell, the increase in teen homicides across the state. My heart bled for the mothers of the young men who were taken by the hands of another. My heart bleeds for you, mother. My heart bleeds for you, father. My heart bleeds for the sister out there who has no more brothers to call her own. My heart bleeds for everyone who has lost someone by the threat of violence or by bullying. My heart bleeds today for you, for your family, and for your loved ones. Watching the Saturday night news as they report the senseless murdering of young men and women, followed by the nightly weather report, I thought to myself, enough is enough. Enough is enough. When will we take notice of the genocide that is occurring in our own streets? When are we going to stop watching and start fighting? Enough is enough. When 160,000 children miss school each day because they have a fear of attack or intimidation, enough is enough. Michael Brewer, A 15-year-old was intentionally set on fire by 5 other teenagers in Deerfield, Florida, all because he owed them $40 for a video game. And then they laughed at it. Enough is enough. Must we wait until Darion Albert, the young man from Chicago who was beaten to death and whose violent death was recorded on video, becomes your son or your daughter? Enough is enough. Come on, Steve. I have heard many attack those who stood around and faulting them for not helping him. That's the same thing we have been doing for years. We stood around and watched our young people die. We stood around and watched our people die and go. But I stand here today saying enough is enough. We're just as guilty as they were. So enough is enough. The silence of our community is killing us. Enough is enough. The silence of our churches is killing us. Enough is enough. The silence from the government is killing us. Enough is enough. We must take action. We must take a stand. Enough is enough. Right now. Today we are calling for a week of peace. A week of having enough. A week of having enough. During this week, remember those who have lost their lives to senseless violence. Remember the countless youth in America who go to school and are bullied. This week, stand up for peace. This week, stand up for justice. This week, stand up for nonviolence. This week will culminate in a community forum on Monday, October 26, 2009, at Shorter College in North Little Rock, Arkansas, where we can intimately address our concerns and bring peace in our community. This week will hopefully not be the end. This week will hopefully be the beginning of a movement. This week will hopefully spread into months, and these months will spread into years, and these years will spread into decades, and decades into centuries, and centuries into millenniums, and millenniums into eternity. Because we're standing today saying that enough is enough. So that we can today, this movement will hopefully sweep across the nation. So that communities of people from different backgrounds, races, creeds, and religions will come together to be the change they wish to see in this world. Because we believe in the longevity of this movement, we plan to break the cycle of violence in our community by ensuring that our youth are presented with positive alternatives to violence. This week, you will be able to go to our website, enoughisenoughar.com, and find links to organizations that provide alternatives to our young people. Find alternatives such as so they can find their passions in the arts, in music, in dance, in poetry, and just find a place where they can have a safe place in their after school, where they will not be judged or influenced by violence, but places where they can go to just be themselves. We got to find those places for our children. They can't stay at home and allow the TV to educate our children. Put them in places where they can be developed, where their minds can be nurtured, and where they can grow into themselves. My father, who is one of my greatest inspirations, once told me the words of Dr. King as I close. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verbs agree to serve. You don't have to know Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. All right, now. With these words, I challenge you today to join me in the fight to take our community back through love and service. This is a call to action, a call to arms, a call to service. Enough is enough. All right.